All right. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me today. I am so thrilled to be celebrating 1 year, the 1 year anniversary of this book here. My first book, Trust Yourself, Stop Overthinking, and Channel Your Emotions for Success at Work. If you are here live, say hello in the comments. Let me know where you are watching from today. I want to be able to shout you out, to say hello to you. If you are catching this on replay, then say replay in the chat as well. I always love to come back and chat with you. So, we are here talking about the 1 year anniversary of Trust Yourself. If you have any questions as we are going along for me about the book writing process or the last year since it's been out, the publication, I am happy to answer them. I love making these lives more of a conversation and a discussion with you. So make sure to feel free. You're typing those questions in the chat as we're going. I can't believe it has been almost 1 year since this book has been out. It came out on May 4th, 2021, and it only felt fitting to come on now and share with you a few of the reflections I've had from over the last 12 months that it's been out, but to also share with you some of the raw, honest truths about the process that I have never shared with anyone before. So let me say hello to you in the comments. All right. Farhat, it's good to see you. Kim, Brooke, Miriam, hello. Good to see you. Demet, Lise. Oh gosh, we have people from all over the world. Turkey, Scotland, Serbia, Baltimore, Canada, India. I love this. I love this. Make sure you're saying hello. I want to shout you out in the chat. So before we go any further, I do want to properly introduce myself. So if you are newer to my world, I am Melody Wilding. I am a human behavior professor and executive coach. And as I just mentioned, the author of this book here, Trust Yourself. I am also the creator of Resilient, a first of its kind comprehensive program to help sensitive high achievers, people I call sensitive strivers, regain their confidence, master their emotions, and reach their full potential at work. So, like I said, Trust Yourself came out just about 1 year ago now, and I feel there's nowhere better to begin today than by extending my heartfelt gratitude to you, my readers, my followers. Thanks to you, the book has now sold close to 20,000 copies across the world. 20,000 copies. So, for some context, the average book in the US only sells about 500 copies. So to have sold over 20,000 is incredible. It is such an honor. It's hard for me to even wrap my head around that. Rob, thank you so much. Jennifer, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Janet in Connecticut, hello. So this book, I have just been completely bowled over. It reached #1 new release in several Amazon categories. It's already been translated into multiple languages, and it just fills my heart. It blows my mind every time to hear from readers all across the world every single day. So many of you have supported the book in different ways, whether you bought a copy for yourself, you then shared a copy, or you purchased one with family, friends who you believe need this message of trust yourself, who you believe are sensitive strivers. You shared it with your coworkers, talked about it on social media, hosted book clubs within your companies, or even many of you have brought me in to speak into your organizations. So I'm also so grateful to those of you who have taken the time to post reviews for the book, whether that is on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads. If you have just 2 minutes today, please consider leaving a review if you haven't done so already. And I will make sure that after today's live that those links are in the chat for you. Reviews are critically important for books. They're what help the algorithm know that, hey, this is a good book and you should recommend it to other people. Your reviews go a very, very long way to helping other sensitive strivers not only find the book, but also know what to expect from the content and to make a decision to pick up a copy. So thank you in advance to all of you who have done that and who will hopefully just take a minute or two today to do that. So let me check in with the chat. So, hello, Vanessa from the Philippines, Alexa from Costa Rica, who said, "You have been such a help to my development already. Thank you so much for that." Well, thank you for being here. And, it's one thing to read a book, but it's a very different decision to then implement that content and put it into action. So, again, I give all of you credit for actually going that extra step and doing that. So, I also have to say that nothing means more to me than hearing from you. So, getting your emails, your LinkedIn messages, sharing how the book has had an impact on you. You can't imagine what those types of messages mean to an author. Hearing that the book changed your life, that it helped you leave a job or get a promotion, that it's helping you have more work life balance or joy or confidence that you haven't felt in years. Some of you have shared with me that you're reading it for the second or third time. And seriously, nothing is more meaningful than that. Writing a book is an incredibly difficult process. This book, Trust Yourself, took over 5 years to come to fruition. I'm happy to talk more about that. If you have questions about the book writing process or anything that I'm sharing about today, please go ahead and ask them in the chat. But writing a book can be very lonely. It can be very isolating, even for this self-confessed homebody and introvert. And in those 5 years that I spent working on the proposal and the manuscript, I can't tell you how many times I questioned myself. It was probably every single day. And I wondered whether this book was any good. Or at times I would really feel gripped by this fear that no one was going to buy it. And if they did, they would just completely hate it. They would find it completely useless. And I know to say this now, it may sound weird or it may sound extreme, but I'm sure all of you have had this experience with your own work in one way or another. So I say this to also normalize that what you see on the outside that's going on for someone may not always be what's happening on the inside for them. They say that you teach what you most need to learn, and that has absolutely been the case for me in writing and sharing Trust Yourself over the last year. I've had to come face to face over and over again with my own imposter syndrome, my own fear of failure, comparisonitis, perfectionism, you name it. I have had to face my own internal battles again and again, more times than I care to count. So, one major area, especially since the book has now been out in the world, has been acclimating to feedback and criticism. Not everyone has loved the book. I know there's many of you here who have read it and who have enjoyed it, but there have been some people who have not. And it has received a few bad reviews. And every author will tell you that this is a expected rite of passage. Your first your first 1-star Amazon review is a rite of passage. It happens to every author. But you know what? It still stings, especially when you're someone who is a bit more sensitive. It hurts. It hits you in the gut. So reading those reviews, seeing your stars go down from, 5 stars to 4.8 or whatever it may be, especially for this gold star loving perfectionist, it feels like a huge punch in the gut. But I have to tell you that the more original work and the more thought leadership I have put out there, the less afraid I feel of that feedback and criticism. I talk to my clients, I tell those who are in Resilient all the time that if you want to fear feedback less, you need to expose yourself to it more. You need to desensitize yourself to it. And I've found that is so true in this book writing and promoting process. So now when I have gotten bad reviews, I remind myself that my work isn't for everyone. I'm not for everyone. And I'm really at peace with that now. Other people are entitled to their thoughts, their opinions, and that does not diminish the great impact Trust Yourself has had so far. It's not an either or, it's a both and. I work very hard to get to deeply know you, to understand and serve you, the sensitive striver, that sensitive high achiever who has that combination of thinking and feeling deeply, but also puts a lot of pressure on yourself to succeed and is very driven in your career. So that means if I did try to please everyone, if I did try to be everything to everyone, then my content would be diluted and it wouldn't be as helpful to you. Because if you try to stand for everything, you end up standing for nothing, right? So let me know if this is resonating with you in the comments. I want to hear from you. So the next time that you get criticism or negative feedback, remember that you are not for everyone. Your approach, especially if you are a sensitive striver, you are in the minority. You are in the 20% of the population who is genetically wired to perceive the world differently. So your approach will be different from everyone else's. And that doesn't mean it's any less valid or valuable. It's both and, not either or. Great. So so Miriam was saying, I really have to think that those reviews came from people who are not sensitive strivers. It's funny. I think people get into the book and don't realize that. So in part, I do think that's true. And Miriam was saying the book and the class, Resilient, really changed my life for the better. And Miriam, I'm so grateful for you. So thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, remember, as I'm going along, if you have questions about the book writing process, I'm happy to share. But I also want to talk to you about overcoming fear, because what I haven't shared much about is my book launch burnout. And, writing a book is hard in and of itself, but promoting that book is an entirely different challenge. And so many of my author friends warned me that when publication time came around, that would be extremely intense. So my team and I did our best. We worked really hard to front load projects and make sure we had done as much of the pre-work as we could to prepare for that launch ahead of time. And I'm so happy we did that. It really paid off. And I'm so grateful to say that the launch was beyond amazing. It was beyond exciting. I was so grateful to have so many events lined up with major companies. I spoke for Amazon and McKinsey. I had dozens of television, podcast, media interviews lined up. And that was very invigorating. It was so satisfying to see so much interest in the book. But at the same time, that thrill and excitement was not without its costs. And I don't mean any of this to sound ungrateful, but I want to be honest with you about the fact that while this book launch may have looked very successful on the outside, I soon began to pay a very high toll for that. My body was running on adrenaline pretty much 24/7, literally, and my nervous system literally could not downregulate. I was so over threshold that the stress was so high and frankly disabling at some points that I wasn't able to sleep. And that anxiety that just keyed up all the timeness really started to take a toll on my mental and my physical health. The irony of all of this, again, we teach what we most need to learn, is that in Trust Yourself, I talk about how, in the very introduction of the book, about how a burnout earlier on in my career was the wake up call that I needed to channel my sensitive striver qualities into a strength. And, I guess the universe thought I needed another, at bat with that, another chance at learning that. So that low moment of this book launch burnout really gave me the determination and the recommitment to begin making some drastic changes. So towards the end of last year, I really began overhauling how I managed my energy and my time. I started to introduce much stricter criteria around what types of opportunities I said yes and no to. Because at one point during the book launch, I was saying yes to every single request that came my way. I was doing interviews on the weekends. It was extreme. I also reduced my private coaching capacity by over 90%, which was a very difficult decision to make. I started protecting several days as no meeting days each week so that I had more time to focus on deep work and wasn't in this always constant reactive switching mode. And I grew my team and I delegated a lot more responsibilities and trusted them much more. So I will be honest with you that I am still recovering months later, a year after the book has come out, and I'm still recovering from that book launch burnout. It really does have ripple effects, and any of you that have gone through burnout know that firsthand. But all of those changes have gone such a long way to helping me feel like myself again. So let me check in with the chat here. Yeah, the world is not designed for us sensitive strivers, so we have to curate carefully. I love that phrase, curating carefully. That's a beautiful way to put it. And Demet was saying, if you want to make everyone happy, you should sell ice cream. Absolutely. I've heard, you're not pizza, you can't make everyone happy, which is very true. So thank you for that. Perfect. Okay, so my last reflection that I want to share with you today is talking about learning to stay open to serendipity. So, as a first time author, you're told very often that you don't make money from your book. And it's true. What they mean by that is you don't necessarily earn much in royalties from book sales. But a book does open new doors. And Trust Yourself has led to some really incredible career opportunities, ones that I couldn't even imagine a year ago. So one of those is my relationship with LinkedIn. And I was lucky enough to receive early access to the LinkedIn newsletter feature. Many of you are here because you're subscribers of my newsletter. I'll make sure that that link is in the chat. And within a few months of doing that, I had over 41,000 subscribers. I've also loved working with the LinkedIn learning team. That also came out of the book as well. I've worked with them now on several courses, including Overcome Overthinking and Learning to Say No with Confidence and Grace. I'll make sure those links are here for you in the chat if you want to check them out. And I also actually just this week finished filming my next two courses, which will be out later this summer or fall. So again, I'll make sure all of that information is here in the chat for you so you can check it out. And another relationship that I treasure that really came out of the book is with Harvard Business Review. And previous to this, writing for HBR was a bucket list, long-term career goal of mine. And the first piece with them was published right before the book came out. And now I have, I think, over a dozen articles with them. And each time one of those articles hits their most popular list, or today, one of my articles is their management tip of the day. It's incredible. I pinch myself where I think about a year ago and just dreaming that this was something I could be doing. And it's just such a wonderful platform to reach other people, to help them understand what sensitive strivers are, how these people can be great leaders, and to reach just a broader audience of professionals. So again, if you have questions as I'm going along, I want to make sure I'm answering them. We're coming to the end here. But I do want to share, the striver side of my sensitive striver nature hates ambiguity. I hate not knowing. I am the type of person who thrives on certainty, routine, and frankly, I'm a bit of a control freak. A big control freak. So I always want to have a plan. I always want to know, I need to know what is coming next. But over the past year, I've been forced to learn to relax a lot into the unknown and to leave space, to leave margin for serendipity. And frankly, sometimes it feels like magic for that serendipity to happen and leave margin to capitalize on those opportunities when they arise. And that's very counterintuitive for someone who always wants to know what's coming next, who always wants to be busy, to actually leave a little bit of my capacity. I've really had to intentionally work at 70 or 80% capacity, not 110% capacity, so that I can leave room for these opportunities when they arise. So I want to encourage you to think for yourself, where can I start building in that margin for myself? So that is all I have for you today. Please join me in wishing Trust Yourself a very, very happy book birthday. I would love to hear what resonated with you out of what I shared today. And if you're open to sharing how the book has impacted you, a lesson you have learned from it, please put that here in the comments. It really helps go a long way to helping other people discover the book and be encouraged to pick up a copy. So here's to many, many more years of helping sensitive strivers stop overthinking and channel their emotions for success. All right, everyone, I will see you soon. Take care of yourselves.